Hi, and welcome to the City Farmhouse Studio channel. Today I want to show you the zipper seam, also called the slip stitch seam. So to do this, I have two panels, and what I'm going to do is lay them together to where that ending edge, where all the loops from the last row of stitches on both panels are facing together. And then with my hook and yarn, you begin with the slip knot on your hook, and then you lay it in between the two panels. To begin, on that left side of the panel, you're going to insert your hook through the back loop, in through the middle and through the back loop. If you don't know what back loops are, when you look at your panel, you can see how each stitch makes kind of a V or a heart. You're going to have the front loop, which is on top or the closest to you, and then that back side of the loop, which is furthest away. So on my first stitch, I'm going to insert through the middle to the back on that back loop. Get that out of the way. Keeping that working yarn in between, go to the right, the first stitch, in through the middle, towards the back, working in that back loop again. And then you simply draw up a slip stitch, working through the two panels, and then the loop on your hook. You go to the next stitch on the left into the back panel, back loop, on the right, the back loop, and you pull up a slip stitch. Again, on the left, the back loop, and on the right, the back loop. Now, as I'm working, you can see my panels kind of turn more to the bottom side and the top side. As long as you're working consistently from each panel, going into the one side, then the other consistently, you'll be fine. Alright, and there you can see the beginning of my join. The zipper join or the slip stitch join. Gives a nice, fairly flat seam. You can see where those front stitches, those front loops of the stitches kind of nestle in your chained seam. And then on the back, get a nice straight line where the two are seamed. Very, very flat. Perfect for Afghans where you're joining granny squares together and you don't want a big ridge on the back if you're slip seaming the two panels together, like we all like to do the quick way, through both edges, going the same way and through. You don't get that seam bulk. Now another option, how we work through the back loops on this side, I'll show you what it looks like when you work through the front loops. It's the same, except instead of working in that back-sided loop, you're going to the top loop on the left, and then the top loop on the right, and then you pull your slip stitch through. Top loop on the left, top loop on the right, pull the slip stitch through. Top loop on the left, top loop on the right, and then you pull the slip stitch through. And there you have working in the front loops. Very flat again. You don't have those front loops that are coming up against your chain on the front, and then on the back that yarn is a little bit more hidden because the back loops are coming up over it on this side compared to whenever you were working in the back loops. It is right there on the outside. Now you don't always have two edges where you have the finished loops facing each other. Sometimes you'll have the column edge where your panels are rotated 90 degrees to each other. You can still do this method of joining. For now, I'll show you through the front loop. It's same as the other way, keeping that yarn in the middle. But this time, once I go into the column edge, I am just guessing an even space where that loop would be and pulling a slip stitch through. So still going through the front, and I'm thinking right in through here would be about this equal distance for a stitch, and finding a loop to work in through. It's much more random of a placement. You don't have that definitive loop, so you're just kind of guessing where you'd put it. If I was working through a longer or larger piece, I would pin throughout my piece every so many inches, and that way I know once I got to those pins, I knew that those stitches needed to match up and fit together. That way you wouldn't have a larger piece that you're trying to squeeze into a smaller piece and your panels would get buckled. They would be sewn a little bit more equally together. Alright, so there you go. So here you can see where I worked through the front loops on the left side and the back loops with that extra ridge. And then on the back side, you can see how that seam goes. You can see it kind of alternate a little bit since I was guessing with this edge, that ladder edge or side edge. But if you're working in the same color of yarn, it's way harder to see and wouldn't stick out so much. But you get a nice flat seam, they're securely joined, and a nice finished detail. So some of the projects that City Farmhouse has done is using this seam. The Mama's Got a Brand New Bag. This is a panel that is made of alternating single and double crochets. So it's very textural, and these two edges are sewn together and the seam goes right through here. I have chosen to have the back side, as you can see on the inside, that chain stitch running through on the inside. So it gives a nice flat join to these two panels. Another project that we've used this on is the Jewels Flower Blanket. I made 7 panels and then have sewn each of the panels together using this zipper technique. I worked through the back loops, and you can see on the front loops going between the two. And on the back side, you can really see a nice flat seam. Really blends in with the other stitches that were used on this the panels. Very quality, very secure, and very flat. So there you have it, how to do the zipper seam or the slip stitch seam. A great way to join panels in a flat and secure way without a lot of bulk on one side. I hope you've enjoyed this video and continue watching City Farmhouse Studio for more great videos to come. Thanks for watching.